Biblical Hebrew 2, chapter 30, Hiphil, strong verbs. Hiphil, our new verbal stem this week, has about 4 or 5 different meanings. The most common is going to be a causative sense, that it takes a call form of the verb, which is an active form, and makes it into a causative counterpart of what we have in the call. So sometimes in English, when we're making these translations, a literal translation doesn't really sound the best to get across the sense of modern English, so we might have to tweak the wording here to make it a more idiomatic translation, as we'll see with some of these examples here. So first of all, for example, we have Malak in Kal means to be king, so he was king. Himlik in Hiphil means he caused someone to become king, or a better translation here idiomatically would be he caused someone to reign. So causative sense of that Kal basic meaning. Zakar in Kal means he remembered. With Hiphil, it's his kir, he caused to remember, or more idiomatically, he reminded. Then Shema in the Kal means he heard. Hishmiya in Hiphil means he caused to hear, or he proclaimed, perhaps a better idiomatic translation. So he proclaimed something with the result that it was heard. So he caused something to be heard. And then Karav here at the bottom in Kal, he approached. In the Hiphil with Hikriv means he caused to approach, or he presented something, perhaps could be a better translation of that idiomatically. A second type of use is a simple action, so this is no different than the Kal, so no causative sense in these Hiphil forms of the verb. So Shakam in Hiphil becomes Hishkim, and this just means to rise early. So in that translation, there's not really a causative sense that we would have in some of the other Hiphil verbs. Also with Shalak, which means to throw, in Hiphil becomes Hishlik, to throw down. And then Shamad in the Kal means to destroy. In Hiphil, Hishmid is also to exterminate or destroy. So in these forms, we call them just simple action. There's not the causative sense that we see in the other Hiphil forms. Number 3, declarative. So the subject of the verb here declares something to be the case, and it usually has a Kal counterpart. So Rasha in Kal means to be guilty. Hirshia in Hiphil form of that verb, means to declare guilty. So here these forms declare something that is a counterpart to a Kal action or state of being. And then number 4, factative. So we've seen this type of verb in some of the other forms as well, to make an intransitive verb into a transitive verb. So a verb that does not have a direct object into a verb that does have a direct object. So for example, Gadal in the Kal is intransitive. It means to be great. In Hiphil, Higdil, it means to make someone great or make something great. So this would have a direct object as well. So this is similar to the causative sense of the Hiphil. So as you can see from these 4 different uses, there's many different ways that a Hiphil can be translated, and sometimes some of the Hiphils don't fit any of these categories very well. So we have to work with the context and work with the dictionary as well. So there's not like a cookie cutter answer to how the Hiphils should be translated. So it's not always causative, even though causative is the most common use. We also have to be aware of the simple action form that essentially does not differ from Kal in translating Hiphil verbs. So here is the form of the Hiphil perfect. When you pronounce this verb Hiphil out loud, you notice that it has this hi at the beginning, so it has a hey prefix with a hirek vowel, and then it also has the I in the middle there with Hiphil, so that I is also, or I sound vowel there is the second important diagnostic feature, usually combined with a hirek yod to make the stem vowel there. And then also some of these forms show a patah stem vowel as a diagnostic feature. So if we start on the top right there, kal, third masculine singular, of course it's katal. In the Hiphil, this becomes hiktil. So we have the hey and the yod, or the hey and hirek prefix there, and then the hirek yod stem vowel markers there, diagnosing this as a Hiphil form. Going down the line there, we just add the suffixes that are already familiar from kal. So we have hiktila in the third feminine singular, hiktalta, second masculine singular, hiktalt, second feminine singular, and then hiktalti, first common singular. And jumping over to the left, hiktilu, the third common plural, so that has the shurek suffix that's familiar already from kal, third common plurals as well. Then hiktaltem and hiktalten, second masculine and feminine plurals, and then finally hiktalnu, the first common plural. So all of these have this diagnostic feature of the hey prefix with the hirek vowel, and then the hirek yod stem vowel, or alternatively also the patah stem vowel, seen in many of them as well. And with this verb katal, we have the causative sense coming out in the translation. Katal means to kill, and the Hiphil means to cause to kill. So hiktil, he caused to kill, and so forth. Then in the imperfect form, we have diagnostic features of a patah prefix vowel, and then the hirek yod stem vowel also occurs in these more consistently than in the perfect form as well. So on the top right, kal, third masculine singular, is yiktol. So in the Hiphil, this is yaktil. So the yod there shows that patah prefix vowel, and then we have the hirek yod stem vowel in the middle of it. So going down the line there, we have yaktil, taktil, taktil, taktili, aktil. Then on the plural side on the left, yaktilu, taktelna, taktilu, taktelna, naktil. So all of these forms have that the typical prefixes of the imperfect form, and then they have that patah vowel under the prefixes as a diagnostic feature. And then we have the hirek yod stem vowel in most of these forms, except for the third feminine plural and second feminine plural forms, which have a tsere stem vowel instead. So as an imperfect translation with the causative sense, we have he will cause to kill for the third masculine singular, for example. Now the imperative, infinitive, and participle forms. The imperative form diagnostic features are the hey prefix that is typical for Hiphil, and then either a tsere or hirek yod stem vowel. So this chart with the imperatives here, we have haktel, haktili, haktilo, haktelna. So the suffixes here are the same as we have with the kal imperatives. We just have that hey prefix at the beginning, and we have a tsere or hirek yod stem vowel in these. And as an imperative causative, this would be something like to cause to kill, or telling someone cause to kill. So not really fitting very well to say that in English, but to give it an imperative causative sense, we would have to say to kill and then some kind of command form, cause to kill. The infinitive construct there on the right, similar to the imperative, it is distinguished by the hirek yod prefix vowel or stem vowel instead of the tsere stem vowel, but the infinitive absolute right below that haktel is actually the same form as the second masculine singular Hiphil imperative. So in those cases, we have to use the context to decide, is this some kind of volitional context that would take the imperative, or is it some kind of context that would take a nominal or noun form closer to the infinitive translation? both the infinitive construct and the infinitive absolute maintain that hey prefix vowel and have a patach, or hey consonant prefix and then have a patach under that hey as well. And with the participle, as we saw with PL and POL forms, here we also have a mem prefix. So the kal participles on the left, the Hiphil participles on the right in that chart at the bottom left there. So we have a mem prefix and then the hirekyot stem vowel in 3 out of 4 of these forms. Second feminine singular form has a segol stem vowel instead. So our paradigm there is maktil, maktelet, maktilim, maktilot. So the suffixes are the same as with the kal form. We just have this mem prefix, and there is a patach vowel under those prefixes, and then the hirekyot stem vowel, the other diagnostic feature. So in a participle sense, with the causative nuance, this would be translated like something like causing to kill. And then vocabulary for chapter 30. Halal, in the nifal, to be defiled, defile oneself. In the PL, to profane or defile. In the Hiphil, to let something be profaned, begin. Nagad, Hiphil, to tell, to announce, report, declare, inform. Shava, in the nifal, to swear, take an oath. In the Hiphil, to plead. Shalach, in the Hiphil, to send, to throw, to cast down. Da'at, knowledge, understanding, ability. Delet, door. Hamon, multitude, crowd, sound, roar. Zeroa, arm or forearm, strength or power. Keruv, cherub. Kerem, vineyard. Malkut, kingdom, dominion, royal power. Etza, counsel, plan, advice. Halal, pierced, slain, defiled. Tameh, unclean.